Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Life After the D. I am Coach April Elle, and it is my job to help you post divorce when you are ready to gain clarity, make a strategic plan, and get your life back moving forward. I'm your girl. And today I have a very special guest who is very special, near and dear to my heart, Mo. Welcome, Mo, to the show.
Thank you, April. I am glad to be on here with you.
Yes, I am so excited about our interview today. And so, Mo, before we get started, I want you just to share with our viewers a little bit about Mo. Tell us your family dynamic, business ventures, whatever you want to share. We just want to know more about Mo.
Okay, well, here we go. My name is Monique Allen. I have been married for 8 years to a wonderful guy. I have two children, four blended. I am a paparazzi independent consultant. The name of my little business is there's Mo to it, Jules. And I also do event planning, and I have another business called Annie Amazing Events. Annie is named after my mom who passed away in 2012. So I do event planning. I make t-shirts. I do all of that other stuff aside from my normal gig, but that's pretty much me. My children are adults now. My son graduated from high school this year. Yay. And yeah, I just love decorating in my spare time and hanging out with my husband.
Yes.
And get my hair done.
Yes, and being cute and fly all times.
I try. I try.
Flawless.
Oh, thank you, April. Thank you.
So tell everyone how they can get in contact with you, whether it be for t-shirts, paparazzi jewelry, or event planning, in which I've seen your decorations at event planning, and they are absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, how they can contact you.
Sure. So if you're interested in event planning, not my web page, but my Facebook page is Annie Amazing Events. You can send me a message through Messenger, or you can reach me at my email at moniqueallen124@gmail. My cell number is 912-247-4197. Again, independent paparazzi consultant. You can reach me and invite yourself to my VIP page, which is there's Mo, M-O-E to it, VIP group. And you can reach me at the same number as well. I have a lot of fabulous $5 jewelry for you. My cell number is 912-247-4197.
The perfect commercial. You have like the perfect voice.
I was told that once before. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm like, and I'm modeling the jewelry as you're talking.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Looking fab.
Yeah, I got to make these commercials pop on.
That's right.
Oh, fabulous, Mo. Share with us a little of your story.
Okay. Well, back in 1997, I had just come out of a relationship. And probably about 7 months after that, I met my ex-husband. When I met him, I had not given myself time to heal from my prior relationship. I'd had my daughter, and I think at that time she was probably 2 or 3. I can't remember, but I'd met my ex-husband and we got along. We were friends. I think we were friends, and I'll get into that later why I think we were friends, but we seemed to get along very well. We hung out, didn't do much of anything, just hanging out. And I always said I was not ready for a relationship. And I thought that he heard me, which, let me say before I go any further, that when I tell my story, I'm going to do what I'm not sure many do, but I'm going to come from to speak on things that I should have known better. Because we all point a finger, but that thumb always comes back to us. So in my story, I think I want to focus on me and the things that I did that I knew better.
Absolutely.
Or, so I knew better, number one, that, and I was still young, but I knew that I shouldn't have gone from one relationship to the next without healing and finding myself. So that was one. That number one is what I did. And I realized early on that he really liked me. I knew I wasn't ready for a relationship, but I kind of said, it's just something to do. And we dated for about a year, and he asked for my hand in marriage, and I declined. And he asked for my hand in marriage again, and I declined. And I think when I'm saying this, it's not to boast that someone asked me several times for marriage. It's showing that I knew better. I knew that, again, I'm going back to my number one point, that I should not have been in a relationship so soon after without healing. So probably on the fourth proposal, my mom talked to me, because that was my best friend. And she said, Nick, he really loves you. You really need to give it a shot. And I remember telling her, I said, but I'm not ready. I really don't want to. And I didn't want to tell her that not only was I not ready, but I didn't really like him in that way. It was, again, something to do. And it's not to speak negative about him. He was a good person. We all have our flaws. We were two good people married to the wrong people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, of course, I said yes the last time. And when I said yes, that feeling, that princess feeling, you get on one knee and they ask for your hand in marriage, and you got like 1,000 people around you, and you say, yes, I will. That wasn't me.
Oh.
It was okay.
Yeah.
So all along, April, I knew that this was something I didn't need to be doing, but I felt, okay, well, I guess I can make myself fall in love with him. And again, it's nothing against him. It's where I was, right? I was battling, didn't really want to be in a relationship coming from another one, but I did anyway. Being with someone that I didn't really love or wasn't in love with, I did love him. That was another thing. So again, I'm talking on my points on what I've learned and what I did on being in the marriage. But anyway, so we got married, and I think a year after that, Cameron was born, and wonderful, and loved my baby. Thankful for him, but I wasn't happy because I wasn't in a marriage where I loved or was in love with my husband. And again, it's nothing on his part. It was me. I jumped into a relationship too quick. I said yes when I should have said no. And I said no many times, but after thinking, well, I guess I can fall in love with him. Let me marry him, and then I can see if I can fall in love with him. Well, let me go ahead and tell you, if it ain't there, it ain't there. Ain't nothing anybody can do. It either is or it is not. And I wasn't in love with him. I did love him as a person, but I wasn't in love with him. So having that happen changed me as a person. I found myself no longer being outgoing. We were two totally different people. And that saying that opposites attract, yeah, and then no. Either it works or it doesn't. He was the homebody. I was the, hey, how you doing? I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to enjoy life. He didn't really have any friends. He wasn't from Savannah, so he didn't really have any friends. But, I just found myself becoming another person when I was with him. When I went around my mom, because I visited her as much as I could every day, or especially on the weekends. I was myself. I was like, yes, talk to my friends on the phone, felt free, not free to go clubbing or anything, just being myself, right? Just like a flower blooming. And then when I came home, that flower wilted. When I left home, the flower bloomed, because I knew I shouldn't have been in a marriage a person that I didn't love, and nothing against him. It was me, it's my battle. So after a while, shortly after my son was born, of course, while I was pregnant with him, 9/11 happened. And think that, yeah, September 11th, and he was born October. So right after that, he was in the military. He had to go to Afghanistan. So while he was there, and that was a tour of duty of a year, then I thought, okay, I can make this work because he's not here. Mm-hmm. So if he's not here, I'm good, right? I can be in this marriage. I'm good because I'm not around him. So then the flower bloomed. I took care of my kids, helped them with the homework. Well, more so Jada. Cameron was still, young, and visited my mom, laughed, lived as far as just, hey, I just want to just not be responsible for somebody else's feelings, or feel like I can talk to people without someone right there listening, draining me of my energy. And again, nothing against him. This is me. This is my journey. This is what I have done. And then when that tour of duty was over, the flower wilted again. And it's solely because of me, because I put myself in a position that I should not have been in, right? Again, two good people married to the wrong people. So needless to say, that went back, the tour to Afghanistan went back and forth. The flower bloomed, the flower wilted. And my mom and I had a long conversation, and she knew that I wasn't happy. And she kind of just listened to me, because I've always been an independent person. It didn't faze me to, I didn't worry about my next move, because I had in that mind that I was going to make it, right? So the last tour of duty, he came home, I think this was in 2003, maybe 2003, and stayed for 30 days or 2 weeks, I can't remember, but we didn't speak to each other that whole time. Didn't say one word. I was miserable. I think he felt my misery, and we were just not right for each other. So when I had to drop him back off to the airport, and the only thing said was, I'll see you guys in 6 months. I knew driving away from Savannah International Airport that I was leaving. That was my confirmation. Yeah. I had to, because this butterfly, the wings were just, I wasn't soaring. Yeah. So 30 days after that, I had moved out, separated, found myself in a townhome with my 2 children, and started writing out my goals. And I'm probably going ahead of you, April. I'm sorry, but fine. Yeah. But that's what happened. So I realized it took 3 years, but I knew the whole time. I shouldn't have been in that marriage. Yeah. I made steps to leave. Yeah, that's what I did.
That first, thank you for your transparency, because it takes a lot, and it takes a person who that they're fully healed when they can say, it was me, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that there's no bitterness there or anger there, because you can really sit back and look at yourself. So thank you for that. You said that you knew going into it that it wasn't for you. And I don't know if I've actually said this out loud or in public, but I kept a journal I've been journaling since I was like 12. And I kept a journal the year leading up to my wedding. And there were so many times I went back and read it. Every time I move, I read my journals. I guess because I actually see them and then I pack them away wherever I'm living at the time. But I
Mm-hmm.
read this journal and it was so many times where I felt like I said that I don't think I should be getting married. I don't think I should be getting married. And I was young and all that stuff too. So I can totally relate to that. If there was someone watching right now who, you know, maybe they just so happen to come across this episode and they're going up into leading up into their wedding and they feel like um the same way me and you felt, what would you tell them? Because for me, honestly, I just didn't know how to get out of it at the time. I loved him.
Mm-hmm.
I was in love with him. And I felt like maybe we would have still gotten married maybe later. But at the time, I didn't feel like it was time. I just didn't know how to get out of it because the reception was booked and the food was being ordered and, dresses and stuff. And so at the time, I just didn't know how to get out of it. What would you say to a woman who is maybe feeling that way now?
Definitely go to counseling. And I think when you're engaged, I think, and sometimes this, I don't call it mechanical counseling. Pretty much, when you get married, more you have to go through counseling most of the time, unless you're getting married at the courthouse like I did. um, so in that counseling, either you can be transparent, and if the counselor, which is most of the time a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody with a marital counselor degree, they will pull it out of you. And I think the best thing that you can do is be honest. Sometimes we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or we watch what we say.
Mm-hmm.
But that, if you're going into a marriage that way, the marriage isn't going to be a healthy one if you're not honest with yourself and your mate. And I think sometimes going to counseling can pull that out. And if it's pulled out during that time, then you will look at each other and say, okay, well, it's not the right time. Then maybe we need to wait. So even if you're like me and you didn't have to go to counseling, you went to the courthouse. If that person is don't do it. Be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was honest a lot of the time, but the other person didn't really hear me. I think they thought, oh, I'll make you feel a different way. Marry me. I'm going to love you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of you. Don't do it. If your heart isn't in it, or if there's any ounce of,
Yeah,
don't do it. Because what's the rush? Put it on hold.
yeah.
Talk about it. Go to more counseling and see, because 9 times out of 10, if you go to the counseling sessions, like I said, they're going to bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And just wait. I think a lot of times we rush into things,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's marriage or jobs or friendships or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And if only you took the time to just sit and talk, at the end of that, you realize, hey, if we just sat down and talked, it's too late now. You already said I do. You should have just told me that. Why didn't you just tell me that? Then we could have waited. So communication and being honest with your mate.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you may have an overbearing mate who says, no, I want to do it. No, I can change. No, listen, I can make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, or you have any ounce of doubt, don't do it.
Yeah.
Put it on hold. There's no rush. That would be my number one advice. And if I would have taken my own advice, I did a couple of times. I said no, but I gave in, knowing that I should not have. So definitely being honest and just communicate.
Yeah.
And knowing that if that person can't understand that you're not 100% sure whether you're doubting that you should be married to them, or you're just doubting that you're the marital type, then they're not for you. And if they truly love you, then they will understand. Yeah. So definitely communication and being honest and open.
Absolutely. I think that is excellent advice, and definitely counseling. That's something that, it's brought up a lot in the web episodes. That's something that I've done, that I still do. Therapy, I have a therapist and a coach, and I just believe in it, and I'm a woman of faith. I believe God wholeheartedly. And I
Yes.
also believe that he put those people here to help me get through those things. And so counseling is a major part. To time. Time, well, I'm going to just be transparent since we talk.
Talk on, girl.
that time thing can get us a lot, because I, often go back and forth with myself. I'm like, well, now I'm 42, I did that. Well, if I still sometimes I'm like, well, if I was still married, it would be this amount of years, and now I'm like 42. I'm like, am I ever going to make it to that amount of years? And so now I'm like, now I got to hurry up and get married. That time thing gets us because we feel like we're supposed to be in certain places or have done certain things by certain times in our life. And that sometimes can be like our number one enemy with that,
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
all of my friends are married, so I better get married.
Yeah. And all of my friends are grandparents. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, that time thing, that's a whole nother talk.
Yes.
I'm glad you talked about counseling, because I want to talk about how you dealt with things after the divorce was final. Let's talk about your support system for a second. Did you have one, and how important do you feel support systems are?
April, let me say this. I had the best support system. I had my mom, and I had my friends.
Yeah.
More importantly, I had God.
Yes.
But I think for me, it was easier because I knew going in that I shouldn't have done that. See, I wasn't in love with my ex-husband, so that made it much easier for me. But for women who went into this marriage thinking it was going to be forever, and they were going to live happily ever after, and they were going to hold hands on the porch at 80 years of age, and it didn't happen, and they loved their spouses dearly, that would be a totally different avenue. So I can speak on my behalf saying that I went running like, I don't know, that I forgot the Jamaicans athlete, the runner.
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
That's how I went out of the marriage.
Yeah.
If you can, I'm serious. And because it was easier for me because I knew going in it wasn't for me. Do you know what I mean? So I would say definitely my mom and my friends. We talk all the time, and prayer. But yeah, definitely to have a support system, and for those of us that don't, because there's some people who are so timid and shy, or they don't want people knowing their business, they suffer in silence, right? They don't want anybody to know that my marriage failed, or I just don't trust people that I would tell things to, so I'll keep it to myself. You have to have that support system to make it through. Like you spoke of, journal. Writing a journal, writing in your journal, how you feel if you're not comfortable talking to anybody. But definitely you got to talk to somebody to get out of it. And I think a lot of women and men, because there's some men that go through this, but I think a lot of people struggle with their finances, and they're afraid of it. Yeah. They're afraid of jumping out. Do it. Yeah. If you're unhappy, because finances will change, and happiness you will be unhappy forever, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But definitely support system, a pastor, and I have to admit, my pastor at the time was my support system as well. I forgot to mention him. But you need that you need it to get by. You need it to get through. So yeah, definitely.
That's it. And you kind of tapped into something else I think that a lot of people are afraid of. I was too. getting out of a marriage or even a breakup or somebody you've been with, those finances, the uncertainty of if I'm going to be able to live, am I going to struggle? I mean, I always knew that God would take care of me. I just didn't know he was going to take care of me this good.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And so that part is just like, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's because a lot of people will stay in situations because of finances or uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And we both can attest that you'll be okay.
You made it. We made it.
We made it. And I'm
You,
not out in the streets, but you'll be okay.
yes.
So that right there, I'm glad that you mentioned that too. But talk to me about how you felt about yourself after this. I know for you, it was a little bit different, like you said, because I was one of those ones that felt like we were going to be 80 years old, walking on the porch, watching
Mm-hmm.
play. So my self-esteem and my confidence took a huge hit. But what was it like for you, and what advice would you give to women? Because I know you're confident. You have a high confidence. You're amazing. Just speaking to women about confidence, what would you say to them?
You have to find confidence within. You have to first love yourself. Let me say that again, it was a little different for me because going in, I knew what I should not have done. And what happened to me is my confidence diminished. Remember that flower being wilted?
Yeah.
So exiting it, I bloomed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my confidence level, because I knew what I had to do. But I would say to the women with the confidence level is don't think because you're getting a divorce that it's you or there's something wrong with you. When I exited my divorce, I immediately found peace. And once I found peace, I learned to love myself. I didn't date for like 4 years. I didn't want to. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. It felt so good to just come home and get to know myself. Me and my children, helping them with their homework, taking them to their extracurricular activities. I found peace within myself. And once you find that and you get to love yourself, that's all the confidence you need.
Yeah.
It's not, I think a lot of women think that, oh, I'm a failure. He did this. I'm getting a divorce because of me. Even though they can recognize that, hey, maybe that mate did 98% of whatever, and they did everything they could to make that mate happy, and that mate still wasn't happy. Don't do that to yourself. God made everybody individually with their own purpose. So you got to tap within that. You got to, again, write down in the journals. This is what I did. Let me speak on what I did. When I got out, I immediately found my peace. I may have struggled financially, but peace made financially that I suffered. Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I was happy. I could do this.
Yeah.
And so when I got out and I, wrote down in my journal, I did. At first I didn't. I had it in my head. I set my goals. Work on yourself, love yourself. That builds your confidence level back up, right? But I wrote down goals and things that I wanted to accomplish within that year. And every little goal that I checked off, my confidence level rose back up. But failure wasn't an option for me because of my kids.
Yeah.
They were both still small. Jada was probably 5 or 6, no, 7. And Cameron was 2 or 3. So the confident, and I know I'm speaking and I'm going all over, but I'm trying to grasp what I'm trying to say. But pretty much just once you get that peace, you can't have the confidence level unless you have that peace, and until you love yourself is pretty much what I'm going around the world just to come back to. Seriously, just you gotta tap and find out. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. because the way a person feels about you has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of women think that if a man doesn't love me, something's wrong with me. Doesn't have anything to do with you. Love yourself. Find peace first. Once you find peace, that's it.
Yeah.
Just take it from there. So sorry I went all the way around the world, April.
Absolutely not. I think that you made perfect sense, because once you find out, once you're okay with yourself, flaws and all, whoever you are, once you're at peace with who you are within yourself, it doesn't matter what externally comes in.
Exactly.
It does make your confidence rise, because whether I made a mistake or not, I'm still good. I still love
Exactly.
to say it was a mistake. I forgive myself. I move on. So
Exactly.
it made absolutely perfect sense to me.
Good. I'm glad, because I felt like I went, woo.
That perfect sense. So, what did your divorce teach you?
My divorce taught me that, number one, you cannot make yourself fall in love with anybody. It is either there or it's not.
Yeah.
Number two, don't feel obligated. Don't change your life because of the obligation of someone else. So in my instance, for example, I said yes because I ended up feeling bad that I kept saying no.
Yeah.
So you have to do what you feel in your heart that is right for you. It's okay to say no. At the end of the day, marriage takes work. And if you have only one person working, it's not going to work. If you have one person trying, it's not going to work. So yeah, at the end of the day, divorce taught me to, again, you can't make yourself fall in love with someone. Number two, don't make a decision based on the obligation of someone else. Don't make a decision to change your life based on the obligation of someone else. That makes sense.
It does. Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up, but before we do, you found happily ever after.
I did.
The D. So
I did.
tell us just a smidget about the guy that makes you smile now.
Oh gosh. I will say this. We met in church. He is an awesome man of God. When I did divorce, one of the things that I did write down, aside from my goals, is what I wanted in a mate. And like I said, I didn't date for 4 years, had no desire, period. I pushed off anybody that I felt was coming within 12 feet of me. But in the meantime, and getting to know myself and being at peace and loving myself, one of the first thing that I asked God for is I want a God-fearing man. Because if you get a God-fearing man and a man who loves God, everything else will fall into place. That doesn't mean that your marriage is going to be perfect. That just means that you have the tools to work on it together. Because first, whenever there's an issue, you pray about it. So my life with him, we dated for 2 years and then we got married. We, at the beginning, it was a little bit rocky because, again, I'm very independent. I'm very no nonsense. And he's a carefree person. And he's such a good man. And you can see that smile on my face when I say this. But yeah, everything is good. We were friends and we got married, and we make it work because we communicate. Communication is awesome. Yeah. We respect each other. And I love coming home to see him. Even if I am fussing with him because he left his shoes right there by the door that I almost fell over. But I am truly thankful though, April. And like I said, I learned a lot. You have to be patient. Marriage takes work. Marriage is not a fairy tale. And even if you've given it all you got in it and the marriage itself failed, you're not a failure. And that's what a lot of women need to know. A lot of people think, as I have friends who've gone through that, it's something that I did. I'm never going to be right for anybody. That is absolutely not true. But again, you have to love yourself, and you got to get to know yourself, because how can you be right for somebody when you don't even know who you are? You know? But yeah, we've been married for 8 years. We love it. We look back, we had an anniversary this month, and it just doesn't seem like it's been 8 years, because even through trials, he's been ill. He had cancer. He was diagnosed with cancer, and it brings tears to my eyes because I'm thinking of how good God is through all of that. Yeah. It just brought us closer. I thank God every day for him. He is such a wonderful man. And for all those women out there, including you, there is life after the D. And happiness after the D. And I didn't go looking for it. Yeah. I didn't. I prayed about it, and that was it. Yeah. And I met my husband. Yeah. But even if I didn't meet him, I think I would be okay, meaning I still would have that confidence level that, God, I'm just waiting. I know it's coming, but there is life after the D, April. And I'm telling you, I love it. Yes. And I would be false to say every day is roses. I mean, sometimes I want to punch him in the throat. Sometimes he wants to punch me in the throat. But we have that respect for each other. We don't argue. We talk. Yeah. And I think that's very important. But for these women, listen, there's life. There's life after divorce. Get to know yourself. Once you have peace, everything falls into place. Yeah. And thank God for people like April who can help just bridge it together for all women, just to listen to each other. So yeah, there's life after the D. It definitely is. I am a living witness.
Yes. I think you just kind of summed up. I think you just closed the whole show out. I think that was perfect. I mean, I don't know. I'm here. I told you before when we did our pre-interview, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to try not to get caught up, because my guests, you women have been so phenomenal and so impactful to the people who are listening, but also to me. So I'm sitting here now trying to, like I said, stay in interviewer mode. But I'm just like, yeah. So that was amazing. That answer was amazing. And usually I ask my guests to, give advice to women who desire to be married like myself. Again, but I think you just did that. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to add? Because I think that was it. I think we can go ahead and do the benediction.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. No, April, there's nothing else. I just want every woman to know, please get to know yourself before you go into another relationship. And I think they call that like rebounding or something, for some, that word. Yeah. Get to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, how can anybody else get to know you? Peace, get to know yourself. So that's it. That's it.
Yes. That's the perfect place to end it. I mean, you summed that thing up so good. I'm like, hey, we're still interviewing, snap out of it. Excellent. So before we close, Mo, again, tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, whether, like I said, t-shirts, event planning, or paparazzi.
Oh, paparazzi, yes. So Annie Amazing Events, that is my name on Facebook. It's Annie, Annie Amazing, all one word, events. That's on Facebook. You can contact me by my email, MoniqueAllen124@gmail.com. Telephone number is 912-247-4197. Or my independent paparazzi consultant, there's Mo to it, Jules. On Facebook, you can contact me by that same information, MoniqueAllen124@gmail or 912-247-4197. And thank you, April, for having me. I love you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on and just sharing so many nuggets and being so transparent. I mean, it was phenomenal. phenomenal.
Thank
I didn't
you.
expect anything different, but you know.
Thank you, April. Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching this episode of Life After the D. Please follow me on all social medias at Coach April Elle, ELLE, or you can find me on my website at aprilelle.com. Until the next episode, thank you for watching. Bye.